apply the tools which they are going to use. And not only that, they become efficient users of marketing research, because I want them to understand what information they are getting in, what they are producing from it, and what are the limitations, what are the constraints, so that when they become the users of marketing research, they can actually ask the right type of questions from their consultants and from the brand manager or others who are working for them. Uh, it has been, I have found that it to be very helpful, though it's becoming increasingly difficult because the course becomes very quantitative and a lot of students really don't want to use. I would like to open now our panel for questions from the audience. I'm sure many of you have questions as to your own perspective. If you want to ask any questions from panel members. Yes, please.
The one thing I didn't hear anyone mention was using incentive for students to work. We have in our marketing research class live cases where the company must pay $8,000 in order to have this case done, and at least half of that has to go back to the students in prize money, and the sponsoring company must show up on campus in order to pick who the winner will be. We found that that money has an incredible impact on students in terms of how much effort they're willing to put into these projects. We do one thing that all of you mentioned I think is important. We just say go do this project, but the lectures will talk about secondary research and they have to do a secondary research. We talk about qualitative research and then they have to do a qualitative research. But I really think the role of some incentive besides simply the grade in the class has had a tremendous impact on the amount of effort and time that students have been putting into these research projects. And the word gets out, we have a list of companies willing to come up with the money to do these projects.
I do that in Buffalo, and Naresh mentioned also at Georgia Tech you were using it. What about others? I thought Professor Barkey, you have to turn it on.
We have that also in FGV. We have also, not for the marketing research course, but we have that for another course in which they have to develop new product. So we have this thing. And for the marketing research, instead of money for the undergraduate students, we are giving them the opportunity to work in the company if they have the best project. So instead of money is the opportunity of career in the company, which for our profile is not better, but is good enough, maybe better than $2,000 or $4,000.
We have an index that we are doing also that the city, there is a fair kind of situation, 3 days they are doing, and they are involving around 1,000 to 1,500 people from the town, and they collect data, consumer behavior, and game disguise techniques, and several, at least 10 to 15 companies sponsored those events. So that was really interesting.
I think one thing we have to be very careful about is that these projects are indeed of sufficient complexity that we are able to use them effectively, and there has to be a commitment on the part of the company beyond the money. They just don't want to show up their name there that, oh, you know, we were part of this institution. So I think one has to be very careful selecting the project.
We do something somewhat different, in other words, because most of our students are relatively older and they already work. What we do, we encourage them to do the project about a problem of their own company. So this gives them not only monetary incentive, but kind of browning points in their company that they can come up with something useful, and you know, and this marketing manager would kind of notice it, and a lot of them say well, it was applied actually right away, and the company was very happy that they did. So instead of paying them, and you know, because we are smaller country, very often you find that companies are kind of loath to come and give projects because they say, well, I don't know who's the student saying, and it might very well that one of the students is the marketing manager of the competing company or competing retail outlet, and they don't really want to do that. And also, there is a lot of bureaucratic problems. You have to sign forms, you have to say this is not a public information, so you can retain the project, it's secret. So we kind of tried it, and it was just too much of a hassle.
In the question?
Schools know that all of that money will be used, or most of it will be used in support of our programs, educational programs, which of course benefit the students.
Peter, what do you think are the critical challenges in getting the private sector involved in such academic setting in teaching marketing research? From the perspective of the industry, what could be done to facilitate greater participation?
I think it's demonstrating the real value. I think in some cases there is a concern about the caliber, the quality of what mere students, being postgrad students, might bring. I teach on MSc course, and I think there may be a difference between MBA and MSc level courses in the eyes of commercial organisations when they're thinking of doing this. What we do is we offer up to, if you like, partners of Cranfield the opportunity to use the students for their dissertations to focus on a problem that particular company has, and we do it that way. So they don't actually pay for that privilege of having the student, but they do get value out of the dissertation. I think issues like confidentiality are there as well. Will somehow or other what we are doing within the organisation get where we don't want it to go? But generally, I think to just come in and do a session, we have a market research company comes in and does a day covering a big project that they did to teach the mechanics of it. I think it might be better if the client was involved, but that at the present moment isn't possible. But that does give them a lot of insights into the issues that practitioner researchers have in doing their daily job, dealing with clients and the issues that clients bring to the party. But I think what Naresh has outlined is a really good approach. And if you can get organisation to part with those sums of money, there is an enormous amount of trust in your academic institution to deliver, and that must be great.
Sapta, you have some?
Also, whatever Peter has told, I have also agreed on that companies should be involved in the process, facilitating that these projects, so that the students will get motivated and they get some live data. Even if in our IIM Lucknow we are involving alumni in the process. In certain company they are confronting certain kind of problem. They have now started that process. They will come back and once somebody will take a live project and do marketing research.
Arun, may I make a comment? What we do cooperation not with the marketing companies, but we do with data collecting company, which is called Stornex, which collects data computerized on barcode products sold in the supermarkets and barcoded outlets. And the students take this data and process it and use it really for the analysis. So the company really gets a mileage because future managers get comfortable and get to know this type of a program, and the students get the mileage because now they can really take actual data and manipulate it and cut it and use it for markets, market segmentation and product differentiation and every other things. And they see how over time things change because of kinds of marketing activities. So this is really a very fruitful type of cooperation. We also bring usually at least once a semester market research or market research company or maybe market executive who talks about the use of marketing programs, how they use it, and so on, and things maybe like geocartographics and things like that, how you use actual data and what they did, how the managers that they serve really got the mileage out of it. So this is another approach that could be useful.
Question in the audience. Yeah, please.
Naresh or anybody. You guys talked about, $30,000 and so on in a particular project. Don't you have different teams in your classes? And so are we talking about separate projects for each team? Because Naresh, you said you made your exams and so on, which are tailored to the project. So it seems like every team in the class is working on the same project. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is true, but depending on the project, one time we did a real project for GM, and then what we did was we divided the project into specific parts, and each team was working on a different part of the project. But on many projects which are limited in scope, and I tend to take well-defined projects that can be completed over the course of the semester, each team is really working on the same project, and they do all the important parts of the project each team does, because I want them to get the experience. And then we have coordinators. They compile, prepare the final report, which is a unified report that is presented to the client.
So in that situation, do you customize the questions and the exams to specific teams?
No, the exams are individual exams. But you see, what the exam does is the exam uses the project as a live case. For example, let's say we did one project for Siemens, which required the students to go to Lowe's and Home Depots. This was for the electrical switches, and it was about alternative. Is that the best way of conducting interviews? What are the alternative ways, and what are the pros and cons, and how it would compare? This is a question which has to be answered in the exam by each student individually, although the project is a group project. So the questions tend to be in terms of, another question, for example, I may take a question from the questionnaire or take a section of the questionnaire and say, critically evaluate this questionnaire.
My question is really, if you have different parts of the project being handled by different teams, do you then make, like you're talking about questionnaire, so you give a particular team questions related to their particular questionnaire as opposed to another team?
If they have worked on different questions, but here is the thing too, that we have presentations, because even if, let's say we have divided the project into different tasks and each team is working on a specific task, they make presentations and post those reports, on the class website, so it is accessible to all. And the clear understanding that through the presentations which are made in the class and through the reports that are posted, even the teams which have not worked, like for example, secondary data may be assigned, and now social media analysis may be assigned to just one team, but the other people have to learn. And questions which are, the questions which are asked are more of they are general questions which would relate more in terms of how the principles have been applied or better applied in that context, as opposed to the specific content that was generated.
So any research is happening which is shared by different nations and all. Now there are cross-cultural and cross-country researches that are taking place. I want to ask, the researchers' competencies differ from country to country, and the topics they are taking that may differ to them, and also the responses they collect If I'm collecting something, some response to a international research, the response rate that I'll get in India could be lesser or could be more, depends culture here. So are these gaps being considered when you're doing research across the country or across the culture?
Well, when you're doing, cross-cultural research, I think what you try to do is you use methods that are comparable rather than use the same method. So, for example, in terms of the interviewing method, you might well decide to use the dominant mode of survey administration in each country rather than the same method. Sampling methods may be, again, different. In fact, there are well-known examples of international or cultural projects which have been published where they use different procedures in different countries. So the whole idea is to get results that are comparable across countries rather than, and which might well involve, based on some of the you mentioned, using different methods in different countries.
If you look on the University of Michigan's site, and I can't remember the reference, you will find that there is a body of knowledge of best practice in conducting national research projects, which includes lots of references to academic papers as well as practitioners' experiences. That's probably the most comprehensive body of knowledge I've come across about the issues of conducting international research. It's primarily for social science research, but it applies equally to commercial market research. I think there's a lot of good practice embedded within that site, but it's a heavy read, I have to warn you. There's an awful lot of information there.
One last question.
Sorry, can I just add to that? Much more important question when you're teaching marketing research in an emerging market. And you can focus on, say, low-income populations with one assignment, and very high-income and better educated populations with a different question. And in both of those assignments, you could be researching social connectedness. But the way that research would be connected, the kinds of questions that come about would be very, very different. So I would say that when we teach, and I find it strange, we also just recently did a new car launch for General Motors in South Africa, and so we could look at across a class, look at different target segments, and come up with completely different implementations of a research project and completely different research objectives.
Basically, sir, you mean the same case study being floated around different countries could result differently, but the same country people coming together in one classroom could give you the same result?
What I'm saying is I think the nation concept is dead. I'm not interested in national research. I don't think it's meaningful when looking across brands. I'm interested in intermarket segments, and what I try to teach my students is how to find them and how to mine them for profitable growth. And that has a different approach and a different viewpoint. Not everybody would agree with it, but I think it's very important.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Mohan Agrawal, and currently professor in Dubai, but previously with IIM Lucknow. I wanted to talk about two things very briefly, especially in the context of emerging economies, which is the topic of this seminar. The first is that we had, we have been conducting a concept called marketing fair. And that particular marketing fair we had started in Jamshedpur XLRI 30 years ago, which is a concept of marketing research in emerging economy. It is conventional research, but the data is camouflaged, or data collection is camouflaged through games. And therefore people come on their own to answer the data or the questionnaire, rather than researchers going to them and then asking those tedious questions or making them feel. Now this particular thing has been applied, reapplied in various business schools in India, and I think Philip Kotler himself had studied that thing and had sent us some letters about that approach. So maybe this is one area that you may like to think in terms of emerging economies, where people need to be not only encouraged but also rewarded in a fun way, not just in a monetary way, about the work that you want them to do, that is answering your questions or questionnaires or other things. So that is one thing that I thought I could share with you, which is now in its 30th year, and each and every research is consulting research. The second is recently I thought I should bring it to this August body, and which is that recently Harvard Business School wrote that they are now changing their approach to learning by doing, and which would mean that all senior managers, experienced as they are, will go to door and collect data through questionnaires. Now, this is what we have been doing in the emerging economy for a long time. So I was wondering that is emerging economy shaping marketing research in the developed world rather than developed world shaping the research in the marketing economy? Exactly how did it pan out? So these are the two things I thought I should bring to your notice. Thank you.
So regarding that marketing fair contest, I just have we are doing also in IIM Lucknow, but this year we have seen that last 2-3 years companies are not that much interested to sponsor, because the way that has been done, it takes around, it takes little preparation. But students take only 1 month and 2 months. They start the project, and so many people are applying for one company project. So many teams are applying for multiple companies, and they don't do any homework. So at the end of the day, what happens? They just copy paste and just do. And the problem is that it is very difficult to manage the students, and that this is challenging task that you cannot restrict students. They will be applying so many, suppose one group, he is applying for Pepsi, he is applying for Coke, and he is applying, so he is not doing virtually any homework in that contest. And at the end of the day also, they do not, whatever the marketing fair, this guy's technique is very good, but whatever the data they collect, after that the accountability part. The students are really not managing that thing. They are not really providing the information that the company wants. And at the next year, the companies tell that why you will sponsor. We are sponsoring last year, but what we are getting exactly out of it?
Can I just add some, your experience is right, and I'm sure there are other experiences too, but has it been tied to a course, or is it just open-ended? Because if it is tied to a course, then faculty will supervise the quality grading, the quality work, and faculty remains like Dr. Mehrotra said, that this is how it happens.
That's right. What happens
Yeah.
actually in the curriculum, the basic foundation course, when the students complete first year, then they go for summer project, then they come for advanced marketing research course and consumer behavior. After that, when September they finish, October, November, the placement season starts. So hardly they don't get any time when they are well equipped with this course, marketing research. After that, they will do this project, but time is not there. And another thing, students, it is very difficult to manage students because you are doing this fair, so many companies are sponsoring, alumni are there, they are excited to get the projects. This is a very good idea, but managing that is not a very easy task. The dilute or certain time of image. And another good idea is that I have given them some idea this time that 1,500 people are coming. Why don't you collect this at least every year, their demographic profile, consumption pattern, and just combinedly you write some project or something like that, you will learn something. That is also not company perspective, in general. You get this 1,500 every year, then you can understand what is the change in consumption pattern. So that is actually they will be doing from next year. And we are also trying to tie up with IMRB. IMRB is our knowledge partner. So they are very much interested. Next year, they will be mentor of at least 7-8 teams that of our institute, and they will be doing collaboration.
Thank you very much. Please join me in giving a round of applause for all these panelists.
Thank you, Professor Jain. Indeed, marketing is contextual, and with the fast-changing global scenarios and the challenging issues of local economies, especially the emerging markets, I believe the incumbent theories and the marketing techniques are challenged. Not only that, but also the ways of teaching marketing research. I would like to thank all the panel members for sharing their views and giving the suggestions on the topic. and showing us the way ahead for teaching marketing research. I would also like to thank the active audience for their active participation and making this session a success. And after this session, we'll having the closing ceremony at 7:30 in the same place, after which we'll have a conference dinner. I would like you to have staying here and enjoy the whole evening. Thank you very much.
We'll have also award giving ceremony after 7:30. We have a award giving ceremony followed by dinner and
Ceremony?
Hello. Check.
I'm Lucknow. Welcome you all to the closing ceremony of this conference. It has been 3 days of an eclectic mix of inspiring sessions by the legends and renowned academicians, with stimulating academic and practical discussions in diverse fields of marketing, along with colorful cultural events. I sincerely hope you take back useful feedback and positive memories from this conference. Now I'd like to invite Professor Steve Burgess to give keynote address. Professor Steve Burgess is the director of the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University Business School. He is an active researcher whose work has been published and cited frequently in respected journals in the fields of marketing, management, and psychology. So, a big round of applause, please. Sir.
Thank you all for inviting me to participate in this conference. It's been a great honor to share time with respected colleagues who share an interest in marketing and emerging markets. The Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow, professionally managed this conference, I think you'll agree, from its inception to this closing address perfectly. To Professor Das, the track chairs, the reviewers, the presenters, and everyone at IMM Lucknow, I just have to say well done. I come here from the beautiful city of Port Elizabeth, South Africa. As Nelson Mandela has said, as much as India is a particle of our country, so we are too a particle of India. To come to India is for us a homecoming, a pilgrimage to the shrines of great leaders and a great people we will always admire. Your kind invitation has allowed me to see many impressive shrines to India's cultural heritage. As a Baha'i, I enjoyed especially meditating in the tranquil beauty of your Lotus Temple. The people of India now truly hold a special place in my heart. In my closing remarks, I will suggest that a convergence of forces presents us with an unparalleled opportunity to advance our understanding of marketing in emerging markets, and I'm going to suggest some steps toward realizing this exciting opportunity. The case for emerging markets research is widely accepted and does not really require much explication. World markets are globalizing due to many forces such as converging information and communication technologies, falling national boundaries, regional unification, the advent of worldwide media, infrastructure, investment, affordable air travel, marketing, and production. In this rapidly globalizing environment, the slow economic and population growth, demographic aging, and market saturation of high-income countries makes it impossible for firms to ignore the fast growth, youth, and low market penetration of emerging markets. However, the socioeconomic, cultural, and regulative context of emerging markets differs considerably from that of high-income countries where most of our most cherished theories have been developed. Conceptually, it's not clear that our established theories or empirical generalizations apply in emerging market contexts. Practically, heterogeneity across and within emerging markets contexts introduces challenges, as we witness in the case studies of even the most respected marketers such as Unilever and Dell. Consequently, it is widely accepted that the advancement of marketing as an academic discipline and its managerial relevance depends at least in part on our conducting more research in emerging markets. To plot our way forward, it will be helpful to briefly survey where we are today. Research during this conference has been presented, much of it very interesting, and it showed that research and one of the studies showed that research in emerging markets in top-tier journals is growing, although it still remains disproportionately low, and so is citations of that work. The International Journal of Research and Marketing special issue on marketing in emerging markets is a very important step forward that I'm sure we'll see happening again in other top journals. Several journal editors and the Marketing Science Institute have called for more research in emerging markets. It's fair to say that research on marketing in emerging markets is in its infancy, and that our colleagues elsewhere would very much like to see us guide it to its toddler years. Doing so will require us to face several challenges. Our first challenge, I believe, lies within ourselves. I refer to the self-limiting perception that we should not strive to publish in top-tier journals, either because of editorial bias in favor of researchers at top business schools in high-income countries, or for other reasons. As someone who reviews manuscripts for several top-tier journals and sits on a number of review boards, I often receive manuscripts from emerging markets that probably should have been desk rejected. If anything, I think there is a bias toward helping researchers in emerging markets. If you speak to journal editors, you will find that they receive very few high-quality manuscripts and that present, especially those that present, true contingency theories on the emerging markets context. They receive even fewer multicultural or multi-country studies. Far too many manuscripts from emerging markets fail to focus theorizing around a compelling or interesting problem, and there are basic conceptual and methodological flaws that often preclude revision of the papers. The implication to me is quite simple, as somebody who's quite an advocate of research in emerging markets by emerging market researchers. That implication is that we need to raise our game to a higher level. In this vein, I will outline a way forward, suggesting a formalized approach to rapidly accelerate research on emerging markets by emerging market researchers. I am proposing that we consider a formalized, programmatic approach to achieve our objectives, which could include a formal institutional body of some type. My goal here is to start a conversation. My outline rests on several assumptions. First, that we will accomplish more if we work together. Second, that if we give structure to our endeavor, it will help us to agree research priorities and to pursue these in formal research initiatives. We need, I believe, to set achievable, measurable goals. What isn't measured will not be managed. We will have our greatest impact if our initiatives focus on true contingency theories. Everyone will benefit if we work collaboratively with our colleagues in high-income countries. They will benefit from a greater understanding of our emerging markets, and we will benefit especially from their advanced research competencies. While we need our colleagues in high-income countries, and we will learn much by participating with them, and they will help us build our research competency, I believe that researchers in emerging markets must lead. The emerging markets context will be reflected authentically in our research only if the majority of principal researchers involved in each initiative are domiciled in an emerging market or have an extensive history in one. Thus, I'm suggesting that we pursue a truly global effort, assuming a broad consultative process across countries, guided by a sincere desire to achieve unity in our diversity. My broad outline includes three possible stages. The first stage would be cooperation building. In this stage, we would identify a group of researchers working in emerging markets or on emerging markets research. These researchers would demonstrate a high level of research competency as measured by agreed criteria such as publications and citations in good international journals and recommendations from editors of leading journals. The critical issue is that the team would be comprised of people who understand emerging markets and the requirements of publishing in top-tier journals. The identified researchers would work to identify research priorities in emerging markets, perhaps following a process similar to that of the Marketing Science Institute when it establishes its research priorities every 2 years. There are many opportunities to work with academic associations such as the AIB, EMAC, or others, and also with practitioner organizations such as the MSI or the CMO Council. The next stage would be competency building. In this stage, we would work to improve the research competencies of faculty and doctoral students in emerging markets. Initiatives could include the development of computer-mediated content, focusing on advanced research competencies such as tutorials, and focusing on topics that seem to be problem areas such as theory building and research methodology. The seminars offered by the UCLA Academic Technical Services Department in terms of operating statistical packages is of the type of example that I'm talking about. Interactive seminars could also be offered on the internet in a handful of institutions in a small group of emerging markets such as the BRICS countries. By the way, now officially the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. There is also a need to develop research tools. Researchers in emerging markets often cannot afford the software licenses for programs such as SPSS or EndNote. The recent development of open source tools such as the R statistical package, Zotero, which is a bibliography management package that is joined with Mozilla's Firefox package, provides an exciting opportunity to develop new packages for marketing researchers. R is a very powerful language and has considerable more functionality than many of its commercial competitors. Also, several GUI interfaces such as Jaguar, Deducer, R Commander now facilitate menu-driven analysis. That said, R also has limitations. For instance, packages that facilitate multi-level, multi-group covariance structure modeling are not available right now. Rossi, Allenby, and McCulloch's Bayesian Statistics and Marketing is a good example of how the R statistical package can be integrated into very useful pedagogical tools. Another major initiative focus on dual mentoring programs that twin doctoral candidates and their local supervisors with leading researchers. Everyone would benefit from the relationship. Doctoral students and their supervisors would learn how to shape research topics that would interest global readers and navigate the submission process, while leading researchers would benefit from access to emerging markets insights. The final stage would focus on confidence building. In this stage, we would work to build confidence through interaction and a supportive network of researchers working on multi-country research initiatives. Web-based interactive research seminar series could be used to help researchers hone skills and improve their papers. The collaborative process of Afrobarometer research in Africa is an example of the type of confidence-building approach I envision. We could also provide formal mechanisms for confidential peer reviews of approved initiatives from papers emerging from approved initiatives to facilitate submission to leading journals. A new high-quality peer-reviewed journal focusing on emerging markets issues might be an exciting outcome of this stage. Clearly, there is much for us to do, and the requirements of the process that I envision would require us all to learn to work in unity across diversity. I realized that he did not like to be called Mahatma Great, but I will do so anyway. As the Gandhi said, "I do not want my house to be walled in on all sides and my windows to be stuck. I want the cultures of all lands to be blown off my house as freely as possible, but I refuse to be blown off my feet by any." If we can achieve and live our lives with such an attitude, we will no doubt be successful in the endeavor that I'm putting forward. Every person who enters my office at the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University Business School is greeted by a quotation from Mandela, which reads as follows: "Periods of fundamental social and political change always highlight and make explicit relations and linkages which in other times are more assumed and implicit. The social obligations accompanying rights are often more pronounced in such times of transformation. Such is the case now. The convergence of forces in the marketing environment coincides with the advent of large, multi-country mappings of the institutional context and an explosion of new research methods and modeling approaches in marketing. We have more analytic power and communications capability on our desktops than the preceding generation of marketing scholars could have envisioned. Working programmatically and systematically across cultures, we have an impressive opportunity, an unparalleled opportunity to achieve something that will benefit all of humankind. Let us make this conference a beginning, and thank you once again for inviting me.
Thank you, sir. As a doctoral student, watching renowned academicians present with us during the conference made me realize the role played by passion and humility in making them reach where they are today. To put it more succinctly, I'd like to quote Paulo Coelho, the author of famous fable, The Alchemist. Remember that wherever your heart is, there you will find your treasure. You've got to find the treasure so that everything you have learned along the way can make sense. There is only one way to learn. It's through action. Everything you need to know, you have learned your journey. And finally, every search begins with beginner's luck and ends with the victors being severely tested. On that note, I'd like to begin the award ceremony in the categories of Best Doctoral Dissertation Proposal, Best Research Practitioner's Paper, and Best Conference Paper. The Best Doctoral Dissertation Proposal was decided by a panel comprising of Professor Naresh Malhotra as the chairman, Professor Michael Edgar, and Professor Sergio Carvalho. The selection was made out of 42 doctoral dissertation proposals that were received for mentoring. To give away the award for the second runners-up position, I'd like to call upon stage Professor Sergio Carvalho. Unfortunately, I think he's not here. I'd request, oh, so sorry. A big round of applause, please. The award goes to the paper is titled An Empirical Study on Consumer Decision-Making Style in Indian Shopping Malls, Amit Kumar Lal. A big round of applause, please. Well, I suppose he's not here. Well, the runners-up goes to the paper is titled Marketing Mix Elements Influencing Brand Equity with Mediating Role of Brand Experience, an Empirical Study in Healthcare Service. This is by Ravi Shekhar Kumar. A big round of applause. Yeah, he's here. So. Thank you, sir, and congratulations, Ravi. To give away the award for the winner, I'd like to call upon stage Dr. Naresh Malhotra. A big round of applause, please. The award goes to the dissertation titled Analyzing the Relationship Between Entrepreneurial Values, Utilitarian Ethical Work Climate, and Marketing Ethics, Perspectives from the Sri Lankan Manufacturing Experience. This is by Rupika Senadhira. Is she here? Yes, you can collect on her behalf. Well, everyone seems tired. We can have some energy, please. Thank you, sir. Congratulations. The next category is for the best practitioner paper presentation. This award should serve as a testimony of recognition of the importance of knowledge about application of market research in the field. There were 10 papers in this category. The award committee consisted of Mr. Peter Munsi as the chairman and Mr. Ashok Das. To give away the award for the second runners-up position, I'd like to call upon stage Mr. Mohan Krishnan, Vice President, IMRB. A big round of applause, please. The award goes to the paper titled Understanding the Rural Consumer's Behavior in Context to His Ecosystem, a Telecommunication Perspective by Saroj Kumar Mohanta and Abhishek Mishra. Is either of them available? Yeah, Abhishek is there. Thank you, sir. To give away the award for the runners-up position, I'd like to call upon Professor Steve Burgess. I think, sir, if you can. I think he needs no introduction by now. The paper is titled Chaupal Se Chandrayaan Tak, this is Hindi, Understanding the Lexicon of Technology by Sastri GA Mahindra and Mahindra Limited and Aditi Gairola. Is anyone present? I suppose not. You receive it, you can receive it on a behalf. Yeah, please. It wasn't written. Okay. To give away the award for the winner in this category, I'd like to call upon stage Mr. Peter Munsi. A big round of applause, please. He's a visiting fellow at Cranfield University School of Management, teaching and researching various marketing topics, including key account management, marketing, accountability, and market research. The award in this category goes to The Day Peeply Went Live, how research assisted the rollout of a mobile agricultural information service by Ms. Purvi Mistry and Mr. Amya Samant from IMRB. Are they here? Yeah, you can collect it on their behalf. The next category is, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. The next category is the Best Conference Paper Award. The selection panel consisted of Professor Arun Jain as chairman, Professor Rajiv Dant, and Professor Steve Burgess. The selection was made out of 175 papers presented at the conference. To give away the award for the second runners-up position, I'd like to call upon stage Dr. Rajiv Dant. A big round of applause, please. Dr. Rajiv Dant is the Michael F. Price Chair in Business at the University of Oklahoma. He has assisted various organizations with executive development, research, and consulting in the areas of marketing analysis, marketing research, distribution planning, and strategy. The second runners-up position goes to a paper titled The Impact of Cost of Logistics in Pricing of Goods for Global Markets Considering the Income and Substitution Effect, a System Dynamics-Based Pricing Framework by Ashutosh Kar and Dipankar Sinha. They are not available. From Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. Can anyone collect an award on their behalf? Sure, sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. To give away the award for the second runners-up, for the runners-up position, I'd like to call upon stage Professor Arun Jain. Professor Arun Jain is a renowned scholar and authority in the field of marketing. Professor Jain is the Samuel P. Capon Professor of Marketing Research in the School of Management, University of Buffalo. He has been instrumental in internationalizing the school's curriculum and has extensive international experience. A big round of applause for Professor Jain, please. The runners-up goes to a paper titled The Effect of a Decorative Model on Advertising Evaluation, a comparative study of Indonesia and Korea by Jael Kim, Wong Hee Han, Dong Tai Kim, Vidya Paramita. I'd, I'd ask Professor Satyabhushan Das to collect the, you can come. Well, I suppose Professor Satyabhushan Das will not have to go too far. To give away the award for the winner, I'd like to call upon Dr. Jagdish Shet, a renowned scholar and a global authority in the field of marketing. His insights on global competition, strategic thinking, and customer relationship management are considered revolutionary. Professor Shet has published more than 200 books and research papers in different areas of marketing and business strategy. Please give a big round of applause. Well, the winner in this category is for a paper titled One versus Many or a Few, Single versus Multi-Item Scale and Long Form versus the Short Form of Multi-Item Scales by Dr. Naresh Malhotra and Dr. Satyabhushan Das. All right, I'm so sorry. By Soumya Mukhopadhyay, Ziayon Liu, and Professor Satyabhushan Das. Sir, I think I'll repeat the authors. Dr. Naresh Malhotra, Soumya Mukhopadhyay, Ziayon Liu from Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, and Professor Satyabhushan Das from IIM Lucknow. Apologies for the mistake.
So with this, I want to make another announcement here that we'll have the same conference in 2014 January, and in the same campus, I am Lucknow, Noida campus. I'm looking forward to welcome you, all of you, again.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to call upon Professor Anita Goel, a faculty in marketing at IIM Lucknow, to give the vote of thanks.
Good evening to all esteemed scholars, ladies and gentlemen. As we come close to this international conference in marketing, titled Shaping the Future of Research in Marketing in Emerging Economies, Looking Ahead, started with the doctoral colloquium, it is my privilege and pleasure to deliver this vote of thanks on behalf of this conference to all those who made this conference happen successfully. On the onset, we express our deep-felt gratitude to Dr. Devi Singh, our director at IIM Lucknow, for his continuous support and guidance. We thank Professor Archana Shukla, Dean Noida Campus, for her valuable support. Our appreciation and support to Professor Satyabhushan Das as an anchor and leader to make this conference happen. Thank you. We express our thanks to our co-chairs, Professor Arun K. Jain, Professor Naresh Malhotra, and Professor Jagdish Seth for their contributions, support, and for sharing their knowledge and experience in various forms during this conference. Thank you very much. we express our special thanks and appreciations to all panelists. I'm going to name them, and excuse me if I will pronounce them wrongly. Mr. Peter Munsi, Mr. Steve Burgers, Professor Steve Burgers, Professor Sergio, Professor V. Kumar, Professor Michael Edgar, Professor Rajiv Batra, Professor Ozlem Sendiki, Professor Dhruv Agarwal, Professor Rajiv D. Pant, Professor Rajiv P. Dant, Professor Edgar Bargi, Professor Huang, Professor Olga Tretyak, Professor N. Rogwin, Professor John L. Stanton, Professor Gurpreet Kindra, Professor Neela Megham, Mr. Ashok Das, Mr. Arun Krishnan, Mr. Harish Biju, Mr. Chandradeep Mitra, Mr. Puneet Awasthi, Mrs. Preeti Reddy, Mr. Sandeep Buddhiraja, Mr. Ashutosh Sinha, Mr. A.V. Surya, and Professor Amit Mukherjee. Thanks to all of them. I also thank the various track chairs and paper reviewers. We thank esteemed faculty members at IIM Lucknow and the faculty members from marketing. We express our thanks to various administrative departments at IIM Lucknow campus and at Noida campus, who provided the much-needed support to coordinate and look after the small details. We like to thank Mr. P.S. Negi, Mr. Virendra Kumar, Paritosh, Kapil, Kavita, Surbhi, Shailesh, Ankita Singh, Johari, Bhumika, Anjali, and Divya, and Ghazal. Extend our thanks to Ms. Sakshi Gupta, conference manager, for her untiring supervision of the entire conference. We thank the marketing area FPM scholars, Ansh, Sushant, Abhishek, Neha from IML, and Anish from Jammu University. We thank students from course, Atul, Priyajit, Nishtha, Aarti, Arun, Manoj, Puneet, Vaibhav, and Gurpreet and Devrat from IPS for their timely support and volunteers. We thank Shankar and his team at MDP who provided the breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, tea, everything to us. This conference would not have taken its shape and success without the contribution of various partners. We thank our academic associations with Academy of Indian Marketing, Academy of Marketing Science, Euromed Research Business Institute, University of Buffalo, Nanyang Business School, World Group Publishing Limited, Market Research Society of India, Georgia Tech College of Management. We thank our industry partner, Life Insurance Corporation of India. We thank our knowledge partner, IMRB International, and extend gratitude to Mrs. Preeti Reddy and Mr. Mohan Krishnan. We thank our print media partner, Financial Express. We thank our publishing partner, Pearson Publishing House. Extend thanks to Mr. Praveen, Mr. Dheeraj Pandey, and Mr. Jain. We thank our hospitality partner, Diageo. We are immensely thankful to the editors of 10 respected journals for bringing out the issues on the papers in this conference. I am naming International Journal of Market Research, Psychology and Marketing, Marketing Intelligence and Planning, Journal of Product and Brand Management, Journal of Food Product Marketing, Journal of Indian Business Research, International Journal of Emerging Markets, Euromed Journal of Metamorphosis, and Transnational Marketing. Our special thank goes to all scholars, authors, and delegates who submitted their papers and presented the papers in this conference. Without that, this conference was not complete. Last but not least, if I have missed by anyone, I'm sorry for that, and thanks to all of you. Thank you once again. Thanks a lot.
Now I would like to invite you for a cocktail